your own business. This is what America's about at any level, whether it's a big business or a small business, a lemonade stand. America is a place, it's never supposed to be designed for a place to have workers. We don't work for other people, right? You bring in slaves from Africa. That's what they did when they needed people. You own farms. You build things. You invent things, and you sell them, right? In the market. This is like a Jew thing too. Like in the market, you have like your butcher and you have your tailor. If you live in like a little shtetl in Europe, everybody had like their one business. Like I make the clothes and I make the food, and and it's like. You don't go, oh, I'm going to go work for somebody. That's not a Jewish thing, and that's not an American thing, right? I don't even know where that mentality comes from, right? But here in America now, it's like, I need to go to work for somebody. And it's like, it's something. My biggest mistake is I never opened my own business. That was my mistake. But anyways, the thing I don't understand with you is, you're at the bottom of this totem pole. Like, you're like the guy. You don't work for anybody, which I have to give you props. You don't work for me. You're your own man. But you're not like Bill Gates at this point. Is it fair to say that you haven't like blown? You don't own an empire yet.
Right.
Your empire is
modest.
Modest. You have a very modest empire, right? How do you relate to the Republican Party, which is basically a social club or whatever, for up and coming business guys. You know what I mean? It's like for guys who got the American dream. They're going to build their own business, and they're moving and they're successful in it. They're the yuppies or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's what I've been talking about in this week's Parsha. When I meet someone who's more affluent than I am, I don't resent them for it. I admire them. When I meet someone who's a millionaire, I admire them. When I meet someone who's starting a business, I admire them. So, to the extent that Republicans stand for smaller government and a more free market and let people go out there and compete and make money, I admire that freedom, even if I choose to use much of my time to study Torah rather than to go out and make money. But I admire those who create freedom so that there are people who can go out and make money, and they can subsidize those of us who want to stay home and study Torah.
Right. Okay, that's a good answer. I like that answer. Thanks. I really like that answer, right? Because what's bothering me is like, how do you even relate to all the other people in your party? I was like, you don't relate to it because.
Well, I do. I love people who are entrepreneurial and free market.
But that's fine.
Starting businesses. It may not be how, I don't want to devote my life to starting businesses and hiring people. I just want a small little Alexander practice and my small writing practice.
You are going to be an entrepreneur. That's where we're headed. You're going to have your own Alexander practice.
But it'll be small. It'll just be me. I'm not going to be hiring other teachers.
Right. But people don't realize this. We're headed here with Torah Talks. This is going to blow up. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but we're going to make the transition from the camera sitting on 35 paperback books to we're going to have like a full massive thing in a studio, and we're going to basically take over Hollywood. We're going to be Hollywood doesn't know it yet, but we are going to take over Hollywood.
Torah Talks, the movie.
Torah Talks is going to be huge.
The movie, the TV show, the reality show,
the comic strip,
behind the scenes.
The game show. I already have a nephew who's designing the game show and getting addicted to it. And so the video. We're going video. We're happening. There's a rap song about us. I mean, things are happening, folks. You're getting in on the ground floor. Now is when you want to give your money, when it counts the most. Be a part of it, because this is going to be giant. We have people that are so interested in us, that they want to see us. They think we're going to. I've seen two different sets of people say that we're going to be the next Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. I've seen it come from two different places. That's the immediate reference. And when you look at us, well, who else would you think of but Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon? I mean, it's so obvious, right? It's like, ho, 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 right? It's like, that's us, right? So we fully expect that we are going to be, like I have like these visions of grandeur because I grew up Jewish, so it's like I can be the president.
We'll be like next Borat and Bruno.
We're going to be the next. No, you're going to be Bruno. I may be Borat, but you're Bruno. So it's like you said, like the person who grows up Jewish is going to say, I can be the next Johnny Carson, right? That I'm Jewish, I can say it. What I'm saying is we are going to end up being huge. We're going to be gigantic. We're going to be, we're going to hire people. We're going to be bringing in jobs here at Torah Talks. I can already envision that we're going to have like a very hot-looking, young, attractive woman who's going to be like the intern, paid intern running the chat room. Can you envision that?
Mm-hmm.
Really hot-looking, she's chatting with them, and then she's like, putting up signs like, lady, you have a question from the chat room, and I can already envision that. We're going to be hiring people. I can envision, illegal aliens working for us. Bringing us food in the middle of the thing.
Right.
Yeah, and cleaning up after us, they'll be
Packing
like,
meat.
packing meat, wiping the toilet down after we're done, and stuff like that. And maybe we'll be sitting on, like in Bruno, we'll be sitting on illegal aliens. So, I can envision us becoming big and becoming entrepreneurial, and at that point, it's you got to vote Republican, because it's a hypocrisy at that point to vote Democrat. It doesn't even make sense, right? Right? I mean, because they're going to say like, oh yeah, everybody should give their money. Yeah, like you really want to give your money back when you've worked so hard to get to that point, right? You have to kill so many people to get to that point. You really want to start handing it back. You know how many pieces of meat have to be slaughtered for that? Okay, so go ahead. I'm boring everybody. Go.
Most revolutions are bad news. They just make things worse. Like, look what's going on in Egypt. It's just becoming worse. The American Revolution is the big exception.
Why do you say that?
Well, what revolutions have made things better?
Can I have a second with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think the French Revolution was better?
No.
Do you think they were better with a king? With a monarchy?
Yeah.
Why?
They weren't slaughtering people on such a mass scale.
The French?
Yeah, the French Revolution. They started the guillotine. They started guillotining people, and they slaughtered thousands.
But before that time, when they had kings, they didn't do any.
I don't think
they went and didn't go out and kill people in other countries.
Well, sure they did that. But they did that after the French Revolution as well.
That's
so.
true too. Okay, so forget the French. That was a bad example.
The Russian Revolution.
The Russian was
things
worse.
China Revolution under Mao just made things
terrible.
worse.
Terrible.
The Dance Revolution.
I'm going to use this as a homework assignment, but I'm not necessarily agreeing with you that the U.S. is. And how much you say that the U.S. was a good one? What's your reasoning for that?
Well, it went from a good country to a great country. Like they established this country of unprecedented and unparalleled freedom and democracy and
right.
Prosperity and a tremendous force for good in the world, because they kind of built upon the great foundation that England gave them.
Right. We just preserved rights. If you look at the the founders were so there were three voices. You can almost hear them in the founders.
Mm-hmm.
One voice was, we need a strong federal government to protect. Protect. One was, we need a states' rights, because we don't want, because there's so many different religious communities here. We don't want to be like the ones next door.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very compartmentalized. Delaware does not want to be like Pennsylvania. They don't want to be like New Jersey. And there's a third voice, which was like George Mason. Do you familiar with him?
Vaguely.
He was part of the Virginia delegates.
I think they made it to the Final Four this year.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Yeah, he was pretty famous for that. That was the biggest victory for him since the Virginia passed the Bill of Rights. He ensured that the Bill of Rights went into the Constitution. And what's so important about that? Because it guarantees protections directly against the British government. These were things that the British government did not protect. It's almost like these are the 10 things that the Brits didn't protect us, and we can't function unless we have these 10. And those are really the most important part of the Constitution, in my opinion. The protection of religion. Freedom of religion. The protection to practice Judaism in this country cannot be touched by any secular, left-wing, atheist loon who wants to force their communist agenda down my throat. I am protected by our Constitution thanks to George Mason. Not to be confused with